mostly. And then you brought over
I
a beer.
was joking about
I
beer.
know you were joking. You
yeah.
were doing it for comedic effect. I realise this.
Yes.
I have a sense of humour.
Yeah.
And you brought beers over, and then you continued to talk, and on autopilot, you just opened the next 2 beers and dropped your phone.
We're off to an absolute flyer today.
Just like the All Blacks, we're having a bit of a crap
God.
one.
All right, let's not talk about it just yet. Let's not.
You need a bit of buttering up before you.
I just need can we just go on like a strange tangent about some sort of travel story for the next 45 minutes or something?
You don't want to talk about the All
strange
Blacks.
experience in China that you might have had, that you might want to plug a channel that you've been working on.
I do have a video coming out this Thursday.
There
now
you
that
go.
you mention it, for 2 cents
Two
on
shots
tour.
onto a rugby chat starts around ish. Basically, that's what people are saying at the moment.
I actually had to split my last 2 cents on tour video into 2 because it was getting a bit long.
Like a long dong.
Yeah.
So the one with the river.
Where I crossed the river. Like
So
that
we're
was
at part
one
2
day.
now.
That one day I started on one side of the river. I walked frickin' miles and then crossed the river on the bridge, which was more walking, and then got some food and then got a boat back across. Like
You see your reoccurring character in? No, not that one.
not in that one, no. But
like that
where
guy.
I left.
We're going to see
the
him
video.
again?
Yes, I definitely
Fantastic.
went to see him one more time.
And the other reoccurring character in the 2 cents on tour is that strange milk you like.
Oh yes, the Asamu milk tea.
Ass milk.
Asamu.
Ass milk. Gotcha.
Yes. I have to buy you a bottle.
Asamu.
They do sell it here, but it's pretty hard to find.
From the ass of Pete Samu.
There you go. He's not in the World Cup squad, so he's having to make a living somehow, Tony.
That's a lot of milk he's got to produce out his ass. My God.
China's a big country. They've got a demand for
Yes.
sweetened milk.
100%. I hear that the Chinese economy is in trouble.
Oh, there's always stories about that.
Well, their one-child policy is starting to really bite them in the ass.
Yep.
Should we get into the geopolitical situation? Also, they've got like 70 million. There's 70 million unbuilt apartments that don't need to be built, but have already been contracted to be built,
Wow.
or something like that. And steel prices are tanking all around the world because of it.
Wow, you've really gone in depth in this. One of the videos I will go to when I'm in China,
Yes.
which I've already been to, but I'm talking about it in the future because the video's not out yet, is I went to this lakeside property where they've started building all these apartments, and
Yes.
then halfway through, the government's gone, you're not building there. So it's kind of this ghost town. It's pretty cool.
Right.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look forward to that one. It's one of my favorites.
And all that money just goes
Yeah, exactly. That's just freaking millions of dollars just sitting there and
billions.
in concrete.
Yeah. Concrete and steel.
There you go.
That should be the focus of this podcast today. There wasn't a lot happened in the weekend, really. I feel like you've got notes that I'm nervous. Well, I'm not nervous about it. I've got mixed feelings.
Okay.
Tell me, what did you think of the rugby in the weekend? Namely, South Africa versus the All Blacks.
South Africa played the All Blacks.
This happened.
It was
It went forever.
one-sided.
The game just finished. It went for so long.
The scoreline was, in fact, the All Blacks' worst ever defeat.
Which, you know what? Little silver lining.
35-7 in the scheme of things isn't too
Yeah,
bad.
if worst ever defeat.
There you go, Fozzie. You're not that bad.
Yeah.
Could have been 50.
Could have been 57, South Africa. It's a bad time to try and put the needle in about that one, which I think that one still stings them, but we forget about it. I see that.
The interesting
That
thing
one
about
being
the
brought up on South African
the
content more.
57-0 one was interesting because was it like a week or 2 weeks later we had a really close game with them. So it's one of those
Was
ones.
it North Harbour Stadium?
That was the 57-0 was North Harbour Stadium, and then we went over there, and the next game was really close.
And we
So it's
managed to
one of
get-
those ones where if you get everything right and the other team's just a bit off the pace, it just can blow out.
Yeah, and I think that was a bit of the case in the weekend.
There was definitely a bit of case on the weekend.
Yeah,
The South Africans were sharp. And, I mean, did
Yeah.
you watch the breakdown?
I did.
I did. There was a bit of whinging and moaning, but the one I liked on the breakdown was
Paddy Gow?
Steve Hansen,
Oh, you're right, yeah.
who was just like, the All Blacks' timing was off.
Yeah, 100%. And
Like
I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't remember him saying that. But you've got to take your hats off.
Yeah, he
South
was
Africa,
ultimately like, look, South Africa's played. They played Wales like the week before
They
and
turned
smashed
up-
them, and then they looked like a team who was a well-oiled
100%.
drilled machine, and they look ready for the World Cup, whereas the All Blacks
100%.
did not.
We looked like a bunch of blokes who hadn't played for 4 weeks, which is what they were, and also maybe some folks who were turning up with a little bit of. I don't like every test match against South Africa is
It's
serious.
tough, yeah.
It's meant to be a big thing, and they were saying, but just mentally, they didn't look like they were 100% there.
Partly maybe because of the last result, a little bit of complacency.
Maybe a
but you
touch
can't
of
be
complacence.
complacent.
No, and they were just from the get go.
Yeah,
like
just everything was off. Like the
Yeah.
Maul defense early was just a penalty conceded, penalty conceded,
yeah,
penalty conceded.
and I was amazed by how many times we turned them back in that first 20
Oh, yeah.
minutes. That was incredible, actually. But every time I would be like, oh, we get a crucial turnover or they drop the ball or whatever, I'd be like, all right, here we go, boys.
Yeah, we just couldn't
But
get
turn
over
around,
half.
we just kept on making bad mistakes. So much drop ball, really, really poor line outs, like everything.
And their defensive speed was just relentless. There was
Yeah.
no space.
Yeah, 100%. And I was actually eventually, maybe like 12 or 14 minutes in, I was just thinking to myself, can we just let them score so we can get on with the game?
Yeah,
I was
get out of the
like,
half.
yeah,
just
let's,
concede the 7.
yeah, let's just get on with it. I mean, we can build back into the game.
Yeah,
But we did concede eventually.
we did.
Were we down at 14 when we finally conceded?
Khaleesi got the first one.
Khaleesi, man, jeez, he's made such a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know, I wasn't cynical, but I was thinking he's going to take a little bit of warming up. But the guy's just come back in red hot,
Firing, yeah.
looking world class, quite incredible.
Yeah, no, he's been real good.
Yeah,
Of all the kind of injury woes that South Africa have got with the guys that are out, he's one of the good news
the
stories.
other players can come back with that sort of form.
Yeah.
Real talisman for that team, eh?
For sure.
Spiritual leader. So they finally get across the line, and then that second try was a real stinger because we'd turned them away.
The one near the end.
Yeah, well, it was just a loose pass from Geordie.
Again, it's the line speed though. They're having to throw those passes.
Oh.
And like when the All Blacks are
I
at their
think we were-
best,
I think we were-
I feel like they can be comfortable with that kind of line speed. Like they're able to either put in a little dinking kick because there's going to be space somewhere, or they'll get an offload away. But they just weren't.
Okay, yeah.
Just weren't there.
No, they weren't. Can I tell you about my Saturday morning now? Because that's about as far as I got watching it live.
Right.
So I have to take my daughter to football on a Saturday morning.
Right.
You have to be at the ground at about 7:45 in the morning. Kickoff was...
My son's rugby is very much similar, but the week before this game, his season ended. He was supposed to play this weekend, but his team finished on a bye, so it was like mwah, perfect timing. I was thinking perfect timing, and then this
I meant to go to this. I meant to go take her to football. Her last game is the World Cup opener. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I'm kind of a single dad, so it's like...
Hey,
I can get Lydia to take her or something.
Grandma, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so I think to myself, okay, I have to kind of really get A into G and turn the game off at maybe 7:05, 7:10. I
Yeah.
think maybe I can watch the first half. I got about 25 minutes in because there were so many
Stoppages and whatnot.
stoppages.
Yeah.
When I turned it off, we had 2 men in the bin. Well, no, maybe one of them had come back by then, but we'd had 2 yellows, and we were 14 points down. But I was still thinking, yeah,
All Blacks have done this
the
before.
All Blacks have come back.
The
a lot
Dunedin
of-
game, that was really recent. I know
Yeah,
it's South Africa
absolutely.
and Australia,
And-
different teams, but still.
And then I was getting into the car, getting a kid into the car,
Yeah.
getting into her boots and all that sort of stuff. It's a rigmarole.
Yeah.
And I get a message from there's heaps of messages, and I shouldn't look. I thought I turned them off, but I just got a message on my phone saying, "What a try from the All Blacks! That was incredible!" And then I just quickly look on my phone, open up Sky Sports app, and see the end of the Will Jordan try. So I saw that, and I don't know. I just saw like a replay of the try.
Will Jordan try? Oh, the non-try, right?
So,
right.
but I didn't realize it was a non-try.
Right.
I was getting into the car, and I just said, "Okay, right, go back in this." So I go to. Then I think, okay, I'm turn off all my notifications. Go to the football, get there. She's playing, doing warm-ups and all that sort of stuff. We sidle up to one of the dads. He's an Indian fella. Doesn't give a crap about rugby. We start talking Cricket World Cup.
Nice.
I'm right into it. We're having a great chat. We're talking about Virat. We're talking about the subcontinent, how it's going to favour the subcontinent spinners, dusty conditions, all this sort of stuff. Right in it. But anyway, then this large South African man walks by with like a sack full of balls on the phone, and then he goes, yeah. yeah, New Zealand's going to be on morning today after that All Blacks performance. And then I was like, and then he literally stopped in front of me and he was saying to his coach, he was like, no, like morning, like they're sad because they lost. Not like the time, like because they lost. And I was just sitting there like fuming. I was like, no. Just like, you know how South Africans are wonderful people, love them, adore them, quite loud. I'm a loud person, but their voices carry, you know, they're quite deep, they're right in there, you know, like, and I'm just like there's lots of these people, and he's just like, the fact he had to like just stop in front of me because they lost, you know, like, and it was just humorous. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm next to this Indian fella, and I'm like, oh, he was like, oh well, you know, but so I'm just like, oh jeez, now I've got to. Well, I just
go back and watch it, knowing the result.
Yeah, I have to go. Well, I didn't know the result. I didn't know the score. Result,
but you knew the All Blacks were going to lose.
But then I heard somebody else talking about a Barrett incident,
right?
Like the Scott Barrett, and I was like, oh god. Yeah. And I didn't put two and two together that he had already had a car. But then,
true.
My daughter got Player of the Day.
Oh, good. Is that one of the, like, genuinely she played well, or is it the token?
She played better than she usually does. Okay. So she got, you know, like, they're five, so they sort of alternate it through the team.
Yes.
But yeah, then I get back in the car, and I'm just like, oh. I don't know why. I'm just going to see what the score was. And then I open up my phone.
You're like, holy crap.
I was like, oh, jeez.
It's worse than I thought.
And then I'm like, I'm going to go
home. It's not even close.
I'm going to go home and watch this so I can talk about it with Mark. I tried to call.
I got a missed call from you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I might have been recording a video. I can't remember.
I tried to call you, been like, dude, do I have to watch this?
Yes.
But I did.
You watched it.
I went home and I watched it. And yeah, we were just smacked around, demolished up front. But I am secretly pretty okay with it. Why do you think I'm secretly pretty okay?
Because it wasn't a World Cup game, and if there's a time to have that kind of just lopsided game, this is the one you'd rather it be. That's what Sam Cane said. He was just like, glad it was this week.
100%. Like, a South African test is always special. They're the old foe of all that and all that sort of stuff. But if I could pick, out of all the games we've ever played South Africa, to get absolutely towed up by them,
you'd rather it be a World Cup warm-up game.
It would be the Qatar Airlines Cup. Even with all the streamers.
Did you hear what Fozzie said?
No, what did he say?
He's like, if there's one trophy we didn't need to have in the cabinet, it's that one.
Yeah. Well, you don't. Like, we've got the Bledisloe, we've got the Freedom Cup, we've got the Rugby Championship.
Yeah. It was just so weird because we've gone through this whole year. It's been a revival. We've gone undefeated after a couple of crappy years. And then, like, to not only lose the first game, but to just get your biggest ever defeat. It's just such a 180. But I guess it shows the small margins at this level of the game.
100%. And, like, they were off mentally. They didn't turn up physically.
And South Africa were just on. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah. I think the fact that we hadn't played for 4 weeks and they'd had a tune-up against the Welsh the week before really was in their favour. And, you know, full credit to them. They did the business.
Yeah.
But, we played our worst performance by far. We played really, really badly. And I think we really missed Frizzell and we really missed Retallick.
True.
And, you know, getting Tyrell Lomax out, you know, our best tight head out pretty early.
That was such a weird injury as well.
Yeah, it was like a shark attack.
Yeah. He's just, even he, you see, you looked at it, he's just like, oh, there's like blood coming out of my leg.
I can see my
muscles. It's a big
muscles.
gash.
Yeah.
Ugh, Jesus.
I didn't realize we were going to spend so much of Saturday talking about Tyrell's gash. But we did. So immediately we're down 3 of our biggest enforcers in the pack. And, you know.
And South Africa have got a 7-1 split on the bench.
7-1 split. We have terrible discipline. And we, how much? So for 70 or 60, at least 60 minutes of the game, we're down to either 14 or 13 men. And if you put all that into context, and us playing badly, we're gonna get absolutely pooped on. But I'm secretly like, I was gutted at the time. I was like, just really, I hate watching the All Blacks lose. But what I hate more, and I've witnessed more now that I'm almost about to turn 40, is watching our worst performance of the year be either being in a quarterfinal or a semi-final of a World Cup. When the All Blacks have that look in their eyes, like they did in the weekend, like, we're out of it. We're out
of ideas. What do we do here?
And they had that look in their eye. But in past times, we've had to sit on it for 4 years and, try and, come back and get it done. This time, we just got a couple of weeks to wait, and if you know anything about the All Blacks and what motivates the All Blacks, they always talk about that ability to bounce back, to find a way after a big defeat. And also, well, not a big defeat, any defeat is just considered unacceptable. And I think about some of the best performances I've ever seen in an All Black jersey. A lot of the times they come off an All Black defeat. It's a real driver.
That's why that Ireland series last year was so rare, because we didn't back up after a defeat.
That was the only one I can think of that we didn't really back up.
Generally,
on.
we do.
You look at the RGs that beat us.
I remember when we flogged them. I remember Ireland toured here years ago, and they ran us really close. I think it was a Brian O'Driscoll game. They should have beaten us,
and we got a droppy at the end.
Yeah, and then the next week we beat them like 60-0 or something.
Yeah, I was in Ireland at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's I know what you mean. It's like usually the All Blacks back up a poor performance with a good one. So But how does this change the picture for Pool B where South Africa's in? Because prior to that game, Scotland are the team that's like, oh man, they've beaten France. They ran France close in France. Like they're looking maybe potentially red hot enough to cause a bit of an upset. Then South Africa flogs Wales, and it kind of gets a bit written off like, well, Wales are a bit crap, but no, you can't write this one off.
I think it just sets up a blockbuster game. That's what we want in World Cups. I know, this would be a better game to have as a quarterfinal as opposed to a,
pool game.
It's almost a knockout pool game. Well, like the Irish.
The Irish schedule is more like direct into knockouts because I think they've got Romania, Tonga, and then South Africa, Scotland. So it's basically like 2 warm-ups, if I can call it that with all due respect, and then knockout. If they make it, knockout. As
couple
far as
of
they can go.
soft runs though. That's not great. Yeah.
They'll want to be getting a tune-up from the Tongans anyway. They'll at least want a match.
Yeah.
But,
Stressful stuff.
What a pull.
But I definitely don't think you discount the Scottish at all. Like they improved throughout the year, and like one great game a successful team doth not make.
That's right. I mean, just look at the turnaround between the All Blacks South Africa and New Zealand, and then the All Blacks South Africa at Twickenham.
Yeah, 100%. Or you look at
and even a lot of South African fans were saying, like, Mark, that was great. I loved every moment of it as a Boks fan, but I know the next time we play you guys, like if it's in a quarterfinal, we know it's going to be, a different game.
Yeah, and look, we had a 12-game unbeaten streak going into that, which is pretty impressive. And there is, the turnaround from Nombella to Alice Park. Even in World Cup years, we've flogged the Australians in 2003 by 50 points. By 50 points on, they beat us in a semi-final.
Right.
Similar things happened in '99 against the French.
Yep.
Like this, like
it's not all doom and gloom.
I think it's manna from heaven.
Right.
Like in terms of like. They're putting an edge on training and putting a sharpness and putting a
bit of motivation.
Of motivation and like getting rid of any bit of complacency in that squad. Like they're going to train the house down and they're going to come out, I don't know, firing. But if on the flip side, if they turn up with that sort of discipline and that sort of decision making, it's going to be pretty shithouse. It's we're going to get absolutely pounded. But that was their worst performance of the year. I'm glad it was that game.
And hopefully not to be repeated.
I'm loving the fact we're getting written off. I'm kind of loving the fact people say they've been thumped, they've been humiliated, because I think that'll just get into the All Black psyche.
Okay. Most of the people I've been reading have been... No, I haven't seen much writing the All Blacks off.
I don't know about... Well, I heard Wildcard just go deep.
Okay.
He was just like, they're gone! All that sort of stuff. He was quite funny.
Like
he just
I love that guy's channel.
Yeah.
He's so different from me.
Yeah.
If anyone ever asks me to spice it up, I'm just going to point them in that guy's direction.
Yeah.
Wildcard.
I'm not doing any editing.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. You're going to have to answer it 2 ways because we don't know the outcome yet. Scotty Barrett with his second yellow gets a red.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, so this is one of those awkward recording situations where we don't know the outcome.
But you
and
do.
Probably by the time you're viewing this, you know the outcome.
Yeah.
So Scotty Barrett's got a little bit of a history with his cards.
Yeah.
Some people were comparing him to Owen Farrell.
Yeah.
Should he be getting a ban? Steve Hansen on the breakdown said no, because it's just kind of 2 yellow cards. And Jeff Wilson, who was in a real foul mood, was just like, nah, that wasn't even, like, that was hardly even foul play. I thought it was one of the dumbest things I've seen, like, on a rugby pitch for a while. There was no need for it. It was just...
Dumb, reckless, not dangerous.
Stupid, though. So stupid.
Yeah.
But some people are saying it was worse than Owen Farrell.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
know, I'm hearing that. But, like, there was no head contact.
some people are saying it was direct to the head. I viewed it and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure he hit him in the
shoulder, kind of under the armpit.
I was just wondering if I was being a biased New Zealander.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering.
The bunker reviewed it, and the bunker came out, it was a yellow. So,
yeah.
But should he be
Did
getting
they
the
actually
back?
review it?
So,
I thought they didn't review it because it was not conclusive.
I read that the bunker reviewed it and deemed it was a yellow.
I thought at the time that it was all good because it was just a yellow.
Right.
Even though it's technically a red. But I
so
don't
you're going to have to answer this in two ways. If he gets banned, your reaction?
I think it's pretty harsh.
And if he doesn't get banned, you're cool with that?
Yes, given I am a New Zealander, take that for whatever you will.
If he gets banned, are we in a bit of deep shit because we've already got Retallick out and Frizzell out for the kind of short to medium term?
We took an extra outside back, but we less shot on locks.
We took an injured lock in Retallick, so we were only down to 3 locks, and now
so
we got
and
Frizzell is the loose forward who covers lock more than any of the others.
Josh Lord
he's injured.
was as green as.
He looked a bit green in that game.
Well, they all were green.
Yeah,
like,
nobody stood out really well in that game.
Well, Newell's only got about 4 or 5 tests.
Yeah.
I think Dane Coles didn't cover himself in glory. Like, in terms of, like, starting type 5 that we actually had playing the majority of that game, like... And then they were down to 7 men. And then it sounds like an excuse. It's just what happened. They were down to 7 men, and they weren't our front liners by the time it was all done and dusted through injury and through suspensions and all that sort of crap. And then to get 7 of the biggest human beings.
Like Quacker Smith comes on. Quacker wasn't even supposed to be playing. He was
great.
supposed to be Willie LaRue at fullback, like a fullback replacement, but then they bring on Quacker Smith because he's played 7s, he can play in the back line. He played amazing.
Yeah,
that was insane. We were already getting dominated before they brought the 7 forwards on.
Absolutely. What did you think about the fact that it was a bit of a shitter of a game, actually? Like, in terms of like the length of, because I remember thinking I'll be able to watch the first half, and I got through 25 minutes.
Yeah, I did my trick where I'm trying to get more sleep into myself.
Yeah,
because it was kind of an early wake up call. Not too bad, but I slept past the kickoff time, like 15 minutes past kickoff.
Yeah,
because then I know halftime's 15 minutes. I can catch up.
That's a nice little sleep.
That's a sleep in for me, for sure. So. But I did that thing where I kind of, I skipped the...
Do you watch the game with your son and stuff?
No, he's still in bed.
All right. If he wants to watch it with
He'll sometimes sit there and watch it. He'll be like, who's playing? And he'll ask me, like, is Stormers playing? Because he loves the freaking
What's
Stormers.
your lounge set up at home?
It's a couch and then... TV. Yeah. I don't usually watch on the TV. I'm usually watching on the laptop.
Really?
Well, with a screen connected to it, yeah.
So you can sort of...
Just do my thing in the corner.
Yeah, right. There's just Dad squirming in the corner by himself.
Yeah, but I'll be listening on the headphones, and sometimes my son will come over and I'll put it on the speakers because he wants to watch.
Yeah, right.
He'll be wanting to know if the Storm... He's a bit of a fair weather fan, though, because he'll look at the scoreline and go, whoever's in front, he's like, I reckon they're going to win. And he's like, I want them to win. I'm like, okay, son.
That's sort of... Madison's not interested in watching sport at all, but she really loves watching Iron Chef.
Oh.
She loves it. She wants to be a food critic when she grows up. Nice. She's 5. And when I give her dinner, she's always like, I love the plating. The flavors are okay, but there isn't really a depth of feel.
Okay. Nice. My son loves it when I give him a little job. Like, if there's a conversion to come and I go off to, like, get a beer or go to the toilet or something, I'm like, son, like, you got to tell me if he gets the kick, and if it's close, I'm like, all right, man. Like, he loves those little jobs.
Mwanga's missed kick. What was?
Yeah, I know. What the hell? That was during the yellow card as well.
We needed that.
And Libok found his kicking boots. He's been scattergun this entire international season.
Libok looked great. I really like Kane and Moody at number 13. I heard you saying, well, that was a bit of an outside pick. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that makes sense.
He's a big guy.
He's electric.
He's just never played there before.
But there's so much.
He's played there as a schoolboy.
There's so much history of. But you
at least do it for your club first before you do it for the Boks.
He was so good.
Yeah, he was very good.
So good.
He's a good player. He's one of your favorites. He's one of your personal favorites.
I was picking him before.
You were picking him before he was what he is now.
Yeah, before people talk. I was like, he's Israel. He's got Sparkles McFabulous about him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's classy. He's quick.
Yeah.
He's powerful. Like, he's got time. He's got class. He's the best outside back currently available for the Springboks.
Did I tell you what Gary, my dad, was most angry about that game?
No.
Because, my dad is one for a wee ref rant.
Yes.
And that game, being as long as it was, could have been open to a bit of over pedantic reffing ranting.
Yes.
His rant, because he did rant, was more about the fact that a Springbok forward did not get man of the match. He was livid.
I think it was the same in some...
He was absolutely livid.
That was crazy, wasn't it? Williamson got it.
Williamson, yeah. I guess because they changed the forward pack. Like, they only played half a game each, so maybe it's harder to give it, but it just seems so wrong.
I actually didn't mind Jeff Wilson's coverage of this game because it was just cantankerous and funny. But he was as part of the live coverage, and it came back from Willemse on getting his man of the award. And it was like, it's great to see the ball getting a bit of air and the classy batsmen able to take advantage of that and all that sort of stuff. And it came back to the studio. There's YouTube footage of it, and Jeff's like, what game were they watching? That is outrageous. They absolutely smashed. Like, Williamson played fine. He was good.
Yeah.
But they weren't playing flights of fancy out in the back line. They just smashed us, destroyed us, pulverized us through the forwards.
Wow.
Like
maybe that's why my dad was so mad. Maybe he saw that and that rolled him up.
Yeah, maybe. It was, Jeff Wilson had a bit of a head full of steam about all that.
He's still grumpy on the breakdown. I don't know.
Yeah,
He was a bit of a whinger. Anyway.
No, it's okay. We can have a win.
35-7.
35-7.
Roygaard scored a nice try. We didn't get nilled.
Roygaard scored a nice try, and this is my thing. Like, everything can be. There's so many different incidents at rucks that don't for whatever reason get pulled up and all that sort of thing. And if everything gets pulled up, the game's never going to finish.
Jeff Wilson was doing that in the breakdown. He was like, "Oh, well, look at what the South Africans did with this one."
He got clocked.
I don't like when people do that.
I don't like it either. But like Roygaard when he scored his try, whoever was coming in clocked him in the head. There was head contact, like forearm to head. It was basically nothing, and he laid down for like an extra half a second, and everyone picked him up.
Right.
But he could have laid down,
milked it,
done what Marks did.
Marks for
Marks got to a knee and appealed. It was like, see ya.
Oh,
see ya.
Like,
just
that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a big thing at the World Cup.
It was freaking like cricket. It was like a cricket. Well, it wasn't how's that, but it was a dumb thing to do, and he's a real professional, but it just feels gross.
Rugby is going to get more of that in it, unless they stand.
I'm not here for it. I'm not here. Up for the wires. Let's watch the NRL, everybody. That's the thing right now in New Zealand. If you're watching this from offshore, there is a team in New Zealand that are bigger than the All Blacks right now. Like, there are. They've got more. They're far more. They're more popular. Like a footy code, the New Zealand Warriors, the New Zealand Warriors, they're on a 7-game winning streak, and they've secured a top 3 title. And maybe I'm Auckland, and maybe
top 3 title. That's not even
no title. Top 3 finish, which is unheard of for us. From where we've been, there's a real narrative behind it.
There's so many other rugby games to talk about. You really want to go down the rabbit hole of the Wars?
I need to start a Wars podcast.
We talked a lot of Wars last week.
The one video I made.
I even time-stamped it last week because we just went on about League for so long.
You did. Well, but the one video I made about League, kind of about converts, got like my worst view count I've ever got from one of my videos.
Tony.
Right.
Come
on. Anyway.
I think we've talked to death about New Zealand and South Africa, but well done,
South Africa. Enjoy the Qatar Airlines Cup, paid by Qatar Airlines. It was very dramatic, the presentation of it.
I didn't stick around. I was doing a video, so I didn't stick around for the presentation.
Yeah, it was like a World Cup.
Okay.
They got handed it, and they had to and there was streamers, and it was a little...
That's a bit awkward.
Touch cringy.
Yeah.
But they bloody well won.
That's not the player's choice. That's just the sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely not. But, well done, South Africa. They were definitely incredible.
Now, if New Zealanders were feeling a bit miserable about getting our record defeat, England lost to a Tier 2 side for the first time in their history, 30 points to 22. Now, you, last week, were like, if England... I think for a second you thought they were in the same pool, and you're like, Fiji could get out of that pool over England. Yeah, Fiji could beat England.
Yes.
And then they not only did it, but they did it away. They did it at Twickenham.
Amazing. Like, this is what, Yeah, I called it, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Did we both say that we thought we'd back Fiji to win?
And that's what I tweeted afterwards. Don't call it an upset. It wasn't an upset. It was, for me...
I put money on it, but only with the Fijians with a plus 12 point start. I should have put money on it just to win. It was paying $6 to win.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my balls.
So it was paying $1.82 to win with 12 plus. So I won a lot less money than I would have.
Well, you can't win all the money all the time.
That's true.
You got 147,000 views on your most recent video about
the All Blacks losing will always get the views. All and sundry want to know about the All Blacks losing.
If you've never seen this podcast before and you're watching it, it's because the All Blacks lost, potentially.
This is true.
Yeah. And if you watch it every week, we really appreciate it. You're the real heroes.
We're giving our thumbs up for people who are listening on the podcasting platforms like...
iHeartRadio.
Stitcher.
Oh, we can't say Stitcher anymore.
Why?
They're closing that platform.
Oh. Well, we used to be on Stitcher before it was closed down.
It's still open right now.
Okay. If you want to listen on Stitcher before it closes down, this podcast is going to be on
Apple
Stitcher.
Podcast.
Google Podcasts.
We're going to have to get that out of
our repertoire.
Yeah, we're going to have to replace it with like Podbean or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Spotify.
Anywhere you find your podcast, you will find the podcast 2 Cents Gets distracted.
You know when I like to listen to podcasts?
In your car?
In the shower.
I thought you were going to say in the shitter.
No, in the shower. I like
Really?
to put a podcast on. I like to just maximize my time. I've got this little Bluetooth speaker that I got from like Placemakers when they had that punt for prizes competition in Super Rugby years ago.
You are...
So I just connect my phone up to the Bluetooth and just put the Bluetooth speaker on top of the shower where it's not going to get wet and just listen to some stuff.
I can't hear it over the sound of me masturbating.
Oh, yes,
That's
true.
the problem.
This is true.
Do you listen to this podcast while you're showering?
No, I don't listen to myself talking with you.
I'm going to call bullshit on that. I'm sure like one
Never,
time.
not once. I've not even listened to rugby stuff, actually.
Do you ever listen to this podcast?
I will listen back after every episode, just to see if we talked bollocks or if we said anything which was particularly interesting.
Do you ever go, well, that was a
Every now and again I'll laugh along and go, those guys.
Good on you, Mark.
Yeah.
Good on you, Mark. He's listening right now, naked in your shower, as those soapy suds run down your body.
Masturbating away to the sound of his own voice. Oh, twisted.
That is twisted. My microphone is kind of irritating me. Yes.
England 22, Fiji 30.
I think we got somehow down a path. But yeah, like just more of the same, really. For those of you who have not been following Fiji, they have been looking fantastic this year.
One of the few sides that changed their coach in a World Cup year, and are like, this is an improvement.
They had Jason Ryan as a All Blacks, as a forwards coach for a little while
with Vern.
But I don't. Vern. Obviously, he's gone now. But
they've got Daryl Gibson on the coaching staff and a couple of other guys. I think
they're looking like a team that is playing with real pride and passion and purpose. And look, we got to see some of that beautiful Fijian football on the weekend. But the thing that I find the most encouraging was that, you know, it used to be you'll just crush them up front. They won't be able to provide quality ball for their backs.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're going to win the game by 30 points. And they might score a screamer from somewhere.
Yeah. But you'll maul try them.
But they're laying,
you'll win their line-outs.
It's completely the opposite of what happened to the All Blacks. The All Blacks were not able to provide any sort of platform, any sort of set-piece ball. And the backs look terrible because they got no good ball. And that's what all back lines look like. But these backs are able just to create a beautiful picture on this canvas that is being supplied by a solid, reliable pack. They've got a couple of scrum penalties. Their
scrum's good. I mean, we've talked about it before, how they were kind of scoring maul tries and whatnot in the Pacific Nations Cup against the likes of Samoa and Tonga and even Japan. But they've shown now, I guess after last week's game against France as well, but against the Tier 1 teams,
they were looking good against France.
They're able to, they can get parity or they can get dominance.
Their loss margin was better than the Australians, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. I think they're an exciting package at the World Cup.
And Caleb Muntz is kicking his goals. Like, they've never had a reliable 10 as well. And it's weird as well because I watched him.
And he's just a solid guy.
That's the thing. I watched him playing in Super Rugby and I was like, he's nothing special. Like, no, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, if you're playing Super Rugby, you're already a pretty bloody good rugby player. You're in the top few % of rugby players. But I was like, he's no Dan Carter, which is he's not he's just solid.
What do you mean? He's no the greatest fullback of all time.
That's a bad example. That's a bad example.
He's no Aaron Cruden.
Yes, he's no Aaron Cruden. He's just solid. Just get the ball to Rand Radra.
He's a Bryn Gatland.
He's a Bryn Gatland. Kick
You're
your goals.
taller than Bryn Gatland, aren't you?
I am. That's true. Yeah. Last time you mentioned Bryn Gatland, I didn't go there. I restrained myself.
Sorry.
But I think he's even he's giving me the finger now because he's even more than just the distributor. He's more than just the goal kicker, more than just the guy who needs to get the ball to Semi Radradra. He's actually taking the ball to line, he's busting some tackles. There
is the rep football effect. Some blokes look incredible when they're playing at franchise level,
right?
And then they get to
they step up and
they don't look great. But then you get players like Mark Nawani Tawasi who look relatively average playing for the Tars.
Yeah,
but he gets that green and gold jersey on, and he looks like one of the best.
Yeah, I think Muntz is having that effect with Fiji. I think
playing for his family, playing for his heritage. Realizing the responsibility. And just living to it, living up to it and delivering, and being able to play just not incredibly flair and amazing. I'm just completely flubbing this sentence, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's not playing with incredible creativity or anything like that. But there's so much of that around him.
That's right.
So if he can just do those core fundamentals, which they've never really had, it stands out like a honeymooner's cock on his wedding night as something that looks incredible.
Yeah. Because they used to use Ben Volavola, who can do magic or he can just shit the bed. And every time he goal kicks, you're like rolling a dice, like, no, you're not getting this one. Whereas Muntz is just like, I reckon he's going to get it. He's been getting everything all night, and he's been doing it.
Just directs him around the park nicely. Like his tactical kicking is great. And he's got so much talent around him. If he can just provide, good pill and good platform, these players around him are going to do a good job.
That Ravo Tamanda. Oh my God, he's the same with Nawani Tawase. Like he was good for the drawer, and he's just again taking it up
the
another
captain,
gear.
Naikalevu.
Yeah. He's always been class though. He's been playing in Europe, so
they had a try that was disallowed. That was really
yeah. That was brutal.
I thought there was one thing that irritated me. There was a try that they pulled back for I think it was for him. That was a forward pass. It was the line ball, it was a forward pass. But then there was that try to Marcus Smith when there was that little dinky kicker over the top.
He's level.
To me, it was like it's a line thing, but he's in front.
Yeah,
I was like, it was exactly the same kind of thing. But I was like, oh yeah, home of football, thanks.
What do you think of England? Like a few of the areas, even the coach mentioned it after the game. Steve Borthwick, like Freddie Stewart is usually safe as houses under the high ball. He was dropping everything.
Yeah.
They subbed him because he just wasn't up to it.
What's that guy's name? The 11 who scored a nice
Johnny May.
They looked really good for the first 15 minutes.
Johnny May skinned Ravo Tamanda and beat him for that first one. Then he just got brutalized in the reverse. That was like for a winger when you see somebody do that to you. That's
like you're here and then you're boom,
and then he's just going around the outside.
That's
like
amazing.
He shouldn't be able to do that to you. But I mean, there's a big age gap between those guys.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be picking geriatric wingers.
Johnny May, if he's younger, he probably catches him, but he's in his 30s now.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about it. They're the opposite of props, aren't they?
Yeah, they just go downhill. 25 and over. You're getting old.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're Mapimpi.
Yeah, what can you say about the English at the moment? Like, there are a lot of people are trying to draw comparisons to their 2007 squad. If you kind of
how they were pretty average, and then
they were balls going into that tournament.
Wilkinson kind of dragged them through to
he wasn't playing well. He was struggling with injury and all that sort of stuff, and somehow they managed to find themselves in a World Cup final, which was maybe one of the most boring World Cup finals of all time.
No tries in that one.
Yeah, well, there were no tries in '95.
That's true.
But that was exciting. Maybe it was exciting because
we're
we were
New
Zealanders.
I think so.
Yeah. We went to extra time.
It was extra time. It was drop goals. Good crowd.
I cried at the end of that. I was 12. I'm not afraid to admit it. Anyway, what would I talk about before I had that sort of little flashback? Do you think we could...
England, where are they at?
They're not in a good place. I think bringing Borthwick on board at this stage was terrible. I look at them play and I'm like, what are they trying to do?
Can I give you
what's their style?
A little bit of background? Borthwick got hired.
He was the right-hand man, wasn't he?
On the back of... Well, he was the right-hand man. Then he leaves England to go work with Leicester Tigers, Leicester Tigers are kind of like what the Crusaders were, but if the Crusaders in recent years had fallen off a cliff and just gone to absolute shit.
So he was
Leicester used to be great, then they've been in a huge slump. He joins Leicester and he wins them a premiership after being shit for years.
Similar kind of story to Pivac with the Dragons, isn't it? Didn't
the Scarlets. Yeah. So, and he won them this premiership by playing really conservative rugby, like heaps of kicking. Just old school rugby, but it was really brutally effective. It wasn't always boring to watch. Like some of the games could be a bit of a drag, like when they played other teams.
You're a purist, though. You can enjoy that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But they were just brutally effective, and then that's what they've looked at. But I guess it'd be like, would New Zealand hire an All Blacks coach based on one good Super Rugby season? Like if Leon McDonald had taken that blue squad and won Super Rugby in his first year with them after being shit for so long, would we go like, right, you're the man for the All Blacks?
Absolutely not.
No. It took Razor fucking how many?
It took him 7 unbeaten titles.
To get the gig, and that was under duress.
Yeah. And it's still a bit of a
So I think a lot of England fans are questioning, like, you know, those tactics which worked in the Premiership are not yet working at international level.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think for me, they look like they're not the players. The players aren't executing what he wants to do, and it just looks like a confused, gross mess.
Is it just maybe they can click? Maybe like this time together.
Well, that's the big question about them and the Wallabies, who we'll talk about shortly. I don't know. Well, I feel more confident about the Wallabies almost, to be honest with you. But maybe it's just because I'm a little bit more familiar with those players.
Yeah.
But I just what a massive dive from going into that World Cup final as the uncrowned champions, essentially. People were like, well, if they did that against the All Blacks, the All Blacks beat the South Africans squeaked past Wales.
Yeah.
This is a foregone conclusion. So going from
that
to where they are now, where you're just like,
are they going to make it out the pool with Japan and Argentina?
Yeah. It's a massive fall from grace, and it's kind of just a bummer.
Yeah.
Like, everybody loves to stick the boot into the Poms, and like, I love watching. I'm thrilled with the result, to be honest with you. In terms of, I love Fiji.
It's great for Fiji for sure.
Yeah.
It's weird because Fiji is everyone's second favorite team, and England, like you say, is the team that everyone loves to stick the boot in.
So everyone's happy, but like just in terms of how bad it is for rugby in that part of the world, it's not great.
Yeah. You'd rather have a strong. I mean, all the countries, you want them to.
But that's the thing. Everyone plays each other, and there's ups and downs. And there's winners, there's losers.
Yeah.
It
wasn't that long ago where France were pretty rubbish, always underperforming. They toured here, I think, in 2018. They sent their B team. We flogged them, and it was like.
It's weird, though, isn't it? Like, you look at these performances in the Six Nations, and you look at how they went against France, and they were demolished. You look at relatively unconvincing against Wales, and now this another humiliation, which I shouldn't say. They were just beaten by the Fijians, and
a good Fijian side. Yeah,
you want to say, good Fijian side. You want to say, well, that's them. They're gone. They're not a chance. But there's just something in me.
Yeah. It's like maybe.
But like, I'm very confident that they're not going to. But I can't say that.
You can't write them off.
I can't write them off. No. Like, they've won a World Cup. They've been in a really similar situation before. They have a knack of winning in tournament play. Like, 2015 they shat the bed. 2019 they did incredibly well. 2011, where did they go out in 2011?
Was it the quarters?
Who did they? So the semi-finals were us and Australia. And France
played
Wales.
That's right.
So they would have gone out. They went out in a quarter.
Yeah.
2007, they got to a
final
World Cup final.
2003, they won it.
World Cup final.
Yeah, they're always there or thereabouts, pretty much. Well, except
99. Where did they get a 90? We're
going too far back now.
No, I can do this. So we played Australia in the semi-final, and they beat us in 99. No, sorry. 99, we played France in the semi-final.
This is riveting listening.
Shut up. We played
World Cup history lessons with Tony.
95, we beat them in a semi. What was the 99 result? 91.
Didn't they lose in the final to Australia?
That was 2003. No, 2003.
Oh, yeah.
They won. 99, the Australians
Beat the French?
You can't think of a loser of a final, just say the French.
Well, the French lost in 87.
Oh, no, the French beat us.
The French lost in 87.
The French beat us in a semi-final, so Australia beat the French.
Yeah, there we go.
And the French probably beat England, probably. 95, we Jonah Lomu did an absolute number on their faces. 91, they made the World Cup final, and 87, I don't know.
You were.
I was 4. They played in a really poor quarterfinal against Wales.
Okay.
One of the worst games in history.
Wow.
Woo! And,
well done, Tony.
I do like rugby from the past. Yeah. Anyway.
Really high tempo. If you haven't gone back to watch those 80s and 90s games, really, really high tempo. You should see how quickly they set a scrum.
Oh, bang! I love that massive collision, the big smack. Man, I can't believe I managed to talk rugby and actually bore you. You know, there was rugby chat.
There was rugby chat.
But you were like,
there's just so much rugby to go on.
I'm
Tony.
sorry.
We're in our second game. There's more games to talk about.
I'm sorry. Okay, you can't write them off, but
yeah.
What's next? What other rugby was on over the weekend?
France, for us this morning, beat Australia 41. I've written 7, but that's not correct.
41.
17
18.
it must have been.
Wasn't it 18?
18. There was 3 tries and a conversion, so it must be 17.
3 tries to 4. 21 points off the boot versus 2.
Yeah.
God, they really need a kicker.
Yeah.
They really need.
I feel like, though, that game, that scoreline is worse than it was. The game wasn't that lopsided.
Can we talk about the negatives first?
Okay.
5 losses in a row
Yes.
for Eddie. Don't have a kicker.
Right.
Don't have what appears to be a leadership team in the.
Steve Hansen mentioned that as well.
But
that's what happens when you don't pick any of the veterans in your squad. When you just pick all the young guys.
All the
that was funny when
leadership.
Steve Hansen was like, well, they don't have much of a leadership team like the All Blacks got. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't fucking bring anybody.
I did.
They got rid of Michael Hooper.
Yeah.
They got rid of Quade Cooper. Like, these are your 30-year-old dudes who've been there and done that.
Yeah, 100%. And they don't have maul defense. But they've got something in there.
Their scrum looked good.
Yeah, the scrum looked
Angus
good.
Bell, Tony Alatupa got through like almost 70 minutes of rugby without hurting himself.
They were in it until the 51st minute. They it's so frustrating. Not a Australian fan. Obviously, I'm not Australian, but it's if you were a fan of that team, it must be absolutely infuriating because you see them do some good things on a paddock, and you're like, "There's a good team in here somewhere." There's no head of the spear. There's no, I don't know. What is the issue? What do you think it is? What do you put it down to? What's the one thing? Don't make me wait for it any longer. Give it to me.
I was just going to mention, I got it on the brain, how the French looked a little bit vulnerable to aerial balls.
Oh, that's not what I was asking.
No, that's not what you're asking.
Pinot and...
Pinot?
Canal. Pinot was saying?
Pinot?
Pinot. That's what I said.
You said Pinot.
I have too many wines.
Okay. Capuzzo. Capuzzo. Capuzzo.
He did it. I didn't really notice that, really. How many times did they drop high balls?
Well, Noah Nitawase won a high ball, I think, for the McWright try. So the Aussies kick it up.
McWright looked good during this game.
Noah Nitawase wins
Scored
it.
a nice try.
And then, they get it to McWright, who scores a try. And then Vunivalu just picked the pocket of the fullback.
I think this was the best I've seen Vunivalu look.
Bro, I was like, wild card. Like, why are you picking this idiot? And then I was like, oh, no, okay, he's a rugby player.
Yeah,
even his
good.
yellow card was a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a touch harsh because the French had made a great burst, and then
he got back to make a tackle.
and the Frenchman was totally isolated, and there was just about 4 Australians. Vunivalu makes the tackle, tries to get to his feet. His players come in behind and drive over.
Yeah,
there's no one to drive through, so he just essentially got pushed over by his teammates.
Yellow card, cynical play. Whoops. it was a bit harsh.
Touch,
but Jonathan Dante looked fantastic for France.
Yeah.
Pinot got a couple of tries like he's like to do. Villiers, such a pocket rocket on that left wing, man. He's just a little ball of muscle.
Yeah.
He's tough to bring down, that guy.
Yeah, he is.
And then 5 penalties. They were kicking the goals. So
And that
Ramos
was a
at the back.
huge difference.
Yeah.
Especially at the start where it was almost like tit for tat with missed penalty. And then
If they get a penalty, the scoreboard just kept increasing in its difference. Yeah.
Mark he scored a nice try at the beginning.
Jalibert looked pretty good on attack for France. The relationship he's building with Dupont.
A lot of drop ball though from the Australians too. Drop ball and like just irritating things when they're trying to get themselves back in the game and they do a line out throw that was not straight.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many aspects of the game that if you were a fan you would just.
I think the discipline was a bit better, which is the one thing I would have normally pointed to.
Still wasn't great.
Yeah.
And then the commentator I like was like, death, taxes, and Australian yellow cards. They're all a certainty in life.
Yeah. He's on like drugs when he commentates.
He's a hoot.
Yeah.
He's a hoot.
Was it today's game where he made a voice about himself talking to some legend that he met? He was saying how he met one of the former French players who he really looked up to. And then he impersonated himself going, hello, mister. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm a big fan. I was like, what are you doing? You're commentating a rugby game. Anyway.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I would listen to him
He's a barrel
commentate
of
every
laughs.
game.
Him and that Tongan guy that you like.
That would be
The dream come true.
combination.
The dream team.
I would like to hear, this is a weird thing, I would like to hear the Tongan guy doing the call and then
The other guy
doing colour.
Right.
Just to see what that vibe would be like.
Nice.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. But the French goal kicking looks good. They can score a try out of nowhere.
They're good.
Maybe a touch vulnerable in this game for the old aerial balls. If they're going to play Vunivalu and Nawani Tawasa, there's some pretty dangerous wingers. Vunivalu looked good. McCright looked good. Scrum looked good.
And they've got magic about them.
The goal kicking looks shite.
But they've also got attacking magic.
That's right.
You know, they've got that ability to create tries that most other sides can't create.
I think they also got Georgia first, so they should beat Georgia.
Yeah, they should be able to. Finally, they should be able to get a win.
Speaking of Georgia, Georgia played Scotland, and it was 33-6, but it was 6-0 at half-time to the Georgians.
Wow.
Yeah, 6-0. Did you watch that one?
No, I watched the highlight. Well, I didn't watch the highlights. I was trying to watch the highlights as I was cooking spaghetti bolognese for my daughter.
Right.
And myself. I ate some too.
Now, a lot of people are giving the Scots grief for being unable to score any points against the Georgians for the first half.
Yes.
But
33-6 sounds like a pretty
The Scots were playing really high tempo.
Yeah.
And they were making errors, I think, because they were playing high tempo. But what they caused the Georgians to do, especially in the latter period of the first half, was to make tackle after tackle after tackle after tackle. And I think they gassed the Georgians by the second half.
Which I think is similar to what actually happened to the All Blacks too.
Yeah.
You know,
Bring it back to. I was thinking of like, do you remember that fight where Conor McGregor boxed Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd was just going, not Floyd, Conor was going gangbusters for ages, and then he was just buggered.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what, like that's the thing that came to mind with the Scotland Georgia game. It's like Scotland once they got
Georgia,
the legs just ran riot.
Yeah, and they probably got slightly higher. No offense, Georgia, but higher class of professional athlete.
Oh, for sure.
And a big part of being a professional athlete is maintaining
fitness,
massive fitness. And it's like they would have played with all heart and all drive, and then sadly, once your lungs, you can still keep on finding somewhere to go, but your efforts aren't going to be quite as effective as your previous efforts.
They had a couple of guys out. I mean, the Georgians are one of those teams that I don't follow enough that I should. I know their fullback's electric. He looks really dangerous. They were trying a few aerial balls against the Scots as well. Their halfback is pretty solid, drives the pack round. But
how did Finn Russell look?
Yeah, class. They only played like 50 minutes before they gave him a rest. Like they started.
So he was only around for 10 of the attacking minutes. Did he put on some tries?
I think he set up one of them with a kick for the first one. I think they opened it to Duan. Duan got 2. Rory Darge got 1.
Yeah.
Dempsey got 1. Cole Stain got 1. So yeah, the high tempo just paid off.
Eventually.
Yeah, basically. So I didn't look at it like the Scots are crap in the first half. I just thought it's an 80-minute game. They work the body and then they just Went for the killer punch in the second half. I don't know. I don't really
This
follow
is great.
fighting sports, but don't they work the body to tire them out? Isn't that a thing?
Body
Like in
head,
boxing?
body head. So you work the body because they
Okay.
protect the ball. I don't watch it. I watch a lot of MMA, but the idea with the boxing is like body head, because you work obviously you're jabbing the head. The head's one of the primary parts you hit.
Right.
But then they're covering up, and you take them to the body, and it takes the wind out of them and stuff
Right.
like that. And then also they start protecting.
Takes the wind out of them. That's
Yeah.
There you go.
And then they protect their body, and then it just leaves them open for.
Okay. I should probably just stick to rugby references.
Well, yeah, I feel bad because there's going to be someone commenting below going,
Like,
this is a
shut
bit
up.
where Tony knows nothing about boxing and tries to explain something to Mark about
The guy
boxing.
who equally knows less about boxing.
Yeah, 100%. Pardon
What
my
else
coughing.
happened? Ireland played Samoa.
Yeah, it's not a great performance.
It was pissing down with rain. It was very, very wet. But I mean,
That's rugby.
That's rugby. Sometimes you have to play. And it was funny because the commentators were like, the
They
Irish
live
would be used to playing in the rain.
The Samoans are in a
If
tropical
anybody
paradise.
knows how to play in the rain, it should be the Irish. They're playing week in, week out in Ireland.
And that was in France, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Neutral ground. Like, neutrals were well behind the Samoans for that one.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're going to... And that's probably good practice.
Yeah, it's a weird one because it was the Irish. Like, you can't call it a B team because you still had James Ryan, you still had Caelan Doris, you still had a bunch of their big gun guys starting, but then they also had like Van der Fleer was starting, but they rested a bunch of guys as well.
Sopawanga was playing for the Samoans. How did he look?
He looked all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked all right. Kicked some goals.
Oh, I did see, because I flicked it on right at the end. I was like, shh.
It was so much drop ball. It was unbelievable.
Oh, really?
But, it was
But
just
I
pissing
saw
down.
the last line out, and that looked like a clear penalty.
Samoa had chance after chance to win that game. Oh, you mean the arm pull?
Yeah.
Yeah. James
That's a
Ryan.
freaking penalty every day of the week. Like, it wasn't buggered up. It was... Yeah, that was massive. So Samoa didn't play that.
Samoa had a chance to kick for touch before that and missed touch.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Who played worse this weekend, the All Blacks or the Irish?
Ooh, I think if Ireland had played like that against South Africa, they would have equally gotten their pants handed to them. Yeah, for sure.
So,
But we picked a stronger team than the Irish did, I think. They rested more of
we
their big
picked a
guns.
stronger team, but we lost so many of our frontline forwards and the strength of the boxers and the forwards, and we also played like poo.
We did.
Yes.
The Irish subs came on and made a bit of a difference. Some of the first string guys came on and
Yeah, a little
got
bit
them
like
through the
Australia.
game. But yeah, but Samoa had chances to win at the end. Honestly, they had multiple chances which they just blew and blew.
So
and
a little
blew.
bit like I said a little bit like Australia, but I mean a little bit like the All Blacks versus Australia game in Australia.
Right.
You know how we were like,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to see all the second stringers. We're going to.
Yeah. There was the
frontliners came back on and kind of steadied the ship.
Dunedin game.
Was that in Dunners? Oh yeah. Sorry. All right.
Italy played Japan.
I
A
look.
lot of people are telling me, like, Mark, after I do like the reviews, like, go to bed, man. Like, there's enough games for you. And some people are like, where's the review of freaking Italy and Japan?
The under 19s were playing this weekend too, Mark.
I didn't review that one. It was 42-21
To the Italians?
To the Italians. It was played in Italy. It was an interesting one because both those teams are kind of in similar places in the world rankings and whatnot. Japan's been on a bit of a stinking run, but it was actually close. The Italians scored a couple of late tries, which really just blew the scoreline out.
So the scoreline.
I've seen about 30 minutes of it.
It's a decent whack.
Yeah, so the second half, it was kind of tit for tat, and then the Italians have got some pretty, including Capuozzo.
Capuozzo.
Yeah. He's class. He gets man of the match in that game. He's just dangerous. Monte Ioane scored a couple. I think he's got a hat trick.
Oh.
Yeah, so they scored some bloody nice tries to their backs. I don't think they're going to have the chops for beating New Zealand or beating France in that pool, but
I saw some people going, if they play like that, they're going to get skinned by everyone. People love the All Blacks losing.
Oh, yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
I get it.
I literally said that to my wife when we lost. I was like, I showed her the score, like, we got hammered.
So you're like,
I was like, this is going to make some money.
Yeah, so if the All Blacks won, you would have got 35,000, 40,000 views on that video.
Instead, it's 100,000 more.
Yeah, 140,000. Yeah. Just to listen to this guy.
All Blacks. Well beaten.
How about that, folks? The All Blacks. No,
You know what?
Great job.
I had my wireless headphones on today.
Yes.
And I was in one room listening to Warren Gatland on a podcast that he was on recently, 10 days ago, right? And the podcast finished. You know how YouTube, just because it was on YouTube, just plays the next video? It played one of my videos.
Oh.
But I didn't actually think I sounded that bad. I was like, okay, not too bad.
No,
Like,
you're great.
I
You're
usually hate the sound of my own voice and like, far out. This is awful. But I was like, okay, that's actually not too
Are
bad.
you making me compliment you?
No, don't. I'm just saying.
You're very good at what you do. You also are a sack of shit.
I am a sack of shit. That I prefer. I would much prefer you give me shit.
No, this feels weird. I have to compliment you.
Yeah, no, don't do
but
that.
No, you're great. Like,
No, don't do
I
that.
was talking with Rian. Yeah, you're a lover.
I did a weird thing with Rian the other day. I meant to tell you, you got something coming out with Rugby Itch as well.
Yeah, Rugby Itch. Go check out Rugby Itch.
Yes.
He's the man. But what was I saying? You know, you're because he did a cameo on my thing and you came up in conversation. I was just talking absolute smack about you.
Yeah, as you should.
And he was like, he's not that bad. I was like, he is that bad. You don't have to deal with him. But he ended up having to deal with him.
Come here, drink your coffee, drink your beers, drink your tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Let you do all the editing.
I know,
Jesus
wonderful
Christ.
stuff. But no, he was always like, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he just does it in one take. And I say to him, he's lazy, and he just
he just doesn't like editing.
He just want to do it again.
Yeah.
No, but you do a great job in just being able to. Not a lot of people can do that. Just talk off the top of the dome.
There are the odd times when I will start a video and just be like, just shit, and I'll start it again.
Have you ever seen one of my videos? They are comprised of. I have a huge amount of fuck ups, and so does Rian. He was telling me. He says like. He basically tries, because I have a little auto cue when I do mine. Right. He memorizes the line or something like that, and then just says it to the camera, and then like fucks it up like 9 times and gets it.
He did mention to me that he writes a script and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's
I can't do that.
Yeah, I have to write a script.
Lazy.
Yeah.
The other match,
you can tell though with scripted stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
How much higher production value?
Yeah, he does a great job.
Classy. Spain played Argentina and lost 62-3.
Yeah.
So Spain, who's not at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Argentina. I didn't see much of that game at all. I've got a recording of it to home. I can go back and watch. I did see one of the Argentinian guys going off at the end, injured. Seemingly, I didn't even get to see really clearly who it was.
Should we do some Scott watch? By the way, keep going.
But yeah, I mean, it just seems like a bit of a training ground for Argentina. Really, I think they played Sanchez.
Oh, here we go.
10. Oh, Scotty Barrett. As soon as you stop recording, that's when the news comes out.
No.
Is the news actually out?
Yeah. Come down with the judiciary. He is getting 4 weeks.
No.
I'll show you.
No.
4 weeks.
What? So they said it should have been a red card.
Gotcha.
Oh, fuck.
You know what the stupid thing is?
I didn't think that sounded right. But with the judiciary, you genuinely don't know.
You know what the stupid thing is? Like, imagine if that is actually right, and then people are looking at this going,
Okay.
So who knows what it's going to be?
No news then?
No news.
No news is good news.
To be honest, I was just looking at it with the intent purpose.
You should have been an actor.
To screw with you. So I'll look up Scotty Barrett, see if it's in there somewhere. Talk about something.
The World Cup's on in about 12 days.
Yeah, what are we going to do next week, man?
Preview the World Cup.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that. If you guys have any questions about the World Cup, let us know, and we'll try and answer. Should we have World Cup question round?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
It's a big event, the World Cup.
I'm pretty excited about it. I really am. It's
first game's New Zealand against France.
Tasty, and there's just tastiness. I know we've bitched a lot about the pools, but actually all the pools are actually got their own.
They've got their own little storylines.
Yeah, they're all a little bit of tastiness. So
if anything, our pool is the most boring because Italy shouldn't be able to beat
it's got a blockbuster start, so that's what it gives to people.
Yeah,
you know,
every other pool you can't really put the mortgage on which two teams are going to get out.
No, and if something big happens in our pool, it means either France or the All Blacks have completely pooped the bed.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be a massive story.
Oh, yes.
Imagine
Imagine if it was us.
Imagine the views.
If the views, if we go out in the pool stage, I can probably send my kids to university, which is government subsidised here in New Zealand, so it's not that much money.
That's enough.
But,
It took me a while to pay off my student loan.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Irish squad.
Kean Healy being out injured is the main one. Their depth at loose head prop looks a bit light. But Andrew Porter's their starting guy.
Yeah.
So if he's fit, they should
So
be
there's
good as gold.
no bolters and no massive omissions, essentially.
No, because, I mean, I'll do the depth chart probably sometime this week, but Andy Farrell has just been like this entire World Cup cycle, this is my squad. These are the guys.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of veterans and young guys, but the youngest guy in their squad, I think, is like 22, and even like 24, 25 is young in that squad. Most of these guys are like 28, 29, 30, 31. So
I can't do a questions round next week.
why not?
Because I'm going to Queenstown the next day, and the questions round takes longer to edit because I've got to chop everyone's head into it and chuck it in.
You don't have to do that. We could just read out the questions and say their names.
And I will just just say, look, I'm really sorry. I would put you here, but I'm not going to put you
You going
here.
where?
Go to Queenstown.
For work.
Yes.
That's bullshit. No one goes to Queenstown for work.
I do. I'm going to go to a conference.
That's a booze up.
Yeah, it is. It's some booze up. Yes. And then I'm turning 40 that week too. You coming to the party?
Maybe. I might do
Oh,
it.
you got to be there. You got to be there. It's going to be great.
I'll vlog it for the viewers.
Look at this. It's just Tony in a room by himself. Loser. Loser. Yeah.
Got to monetize it somehow.
There's got to be something in it for you. Absolutely. Can I tell the audience, I won't tell them what's happening, but can I tell them that there are big things in the works for 2 Cents Rugby coming up?
Well, the World Cup should have some interesting content coming up.
Big things. Big
Hopefully.
things.
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be
gonna great.
interesting.
So stay tuned for that. For my channel, it's just going to be...
This is going on Distracted Sports.
Yeah, this
so
is on
what's going on with Distracted Sports before the World Cup?
I hopefully will have out the piece about the All Blacks that I'm writing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about
You
what I
got
should...
one more video in you before the World Cup?
Yeah, I'm going to put out the All Blacks video.
Okay, and
You
that's
say...
it. Because you don't have it long. You literally don't have any. You don't even have 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, it takes me... I put out a video...
You don't have any games to watch this coming weekend unless you want to watch the NPC.
I'm filthy on the NPC at the moment.
North Harbour.
We were winning all of that game against Tasman and we lost at the end.
Up the wires.
Up the wires, or definitely watching the last week of the... we've secured a top 4 finish, so that's massive. Huge up the wires. Yeah, but I'll try and make some... I'm trying to think about what kind of different kind of content I can make over the... Any suggestions?
Whiteboard. Stats. Love it.
Hello, folks. How you doing? Just some key events and stats for you. It's a game got going with a scrum.
Love it.
People would love that, wouldn't they? Yeah, imagine the uproar if I just completely stole your thing. No,
Do it.
I think other people have, to be fair.
Probably. There's a few.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Mark, well done. We once again talked rugby. You didn't make me feel completely emasculated with that handshake. We also have a very thorough handshake review at the end of every one of these podcasts as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're into handshake reviews, you have to listen all the way to the end.
Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If you listened all the way to the end, I'm sorry if we focused a little bit too much on New Zealand, South Africa, but that was a big deal here.
It was.
And I didn't watch all of the last 2 games we talked about.
It's wildly prestigious. We've been really wanting that Qatar Airlines Cup for a long time, so we had to talk about it. We really did. The old Qatar.
Don't beat Jeff Wilson. Don't beat Jeff Wilson.
I would
Don't
give
be
my
Goldie.
left nut to score some of the tries that Jeff Wilson. He was a quality flipping player.
And he played cricket as well.
He lived the boyhood
the dream, yeah.
and he won.
He's like, I don't want to play rugby anymore. I just want to play for the national cricket team.
And no, he played for the national cricket team before he played
Then he
for
played
rugby.
for the All Blacks,
And he
yeah.
won one-dayers for us against Australia. Against Alan Border and pretty good players in the Australian team. And he was that was the first... I saw him play cricket before I saw him play rugby. I was at a one-dayer and he was the guy for cricket for a while.
For sure.
And then he came back in at the end of his career and played like one T20 for the Black Caps. Got absolutely
smashed.
absolutely shat on. Yeah.
I think I went to that game, and I remember
it was the first one day ever.
Very excited.
Yes.
First one day ever.
No,
first day nighter.
No. First T20 international ever. Sorry.
I'm not sure if I went to. I definitely remember going to a game where he played and he got smashed, but I don't.
He
remember
got absolutely togged in and over by Ricky Ponting.
Right.
Put like over 20 on him. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you know my son went to laser tag the other day with his rugby teammates, and one of his rugby teammates is amazing, scores so many tries every game, and then they're playing laser tag, and outside the laser tag you can see a scoreboard.
He wasn't good.
And I'd taken my daughter out, and I came back and my wife was waiting, and I was like, which kid's that top kid? And of course it was that same fucking kid. It's like, why is he so good at everything?
He's competitive.
Yeah, he's very competitive.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how the best players tend to
and
be.
We are a heck of a competitive podcast. That's why we rank so highly in the podcast ranks.
Leave us a review.
Yeah, we got another couple of reviews.
Okay, we need to read the reviews.
We'll
That's what we can put on the agenda for next week. And the World Cup.
The little tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Anything else from you, Mark?
That's it. I guess take care. We'll see you next week.
Ka kite anō. Up the wires.
Go the Wires.